Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mystic Path. Sorry, the way I don't know if you can see me crawling into my chair. Apologies. I set the table up, the altar and the camera and everything, and then I realized it was way too close to the cat tree and I couldn't squeeze through, but I want to film, so I didn't want to mess around with moving everything. So I just thought, I'll crawl into the chair. Okay, let me just get a little drink here. Okay, welcome to the Mystic Path. This is your April energy update. I have a bunch of notes here. I already pulled essential oils and a sound frequency. And you will not believe they're all pink. And that's kind of the heart is a theme. Oop, sorry, I feel a sneeze coming on. Maybe not. Okay, apologies. Anyway, hopefully you can see my shirt. My girlfriend got this for me for Christmas this year. It's my favorite. It says, "It was never a dress." And then it has the bathroom signs and the woman is wearing a cape. I opened it for Christmas this year and I was like, oh my gosh, brilliant. Why didn't I think of that, right? Okay, so let's get into it. April energy update. A bunch of pink cards have come out. We've got some pink crystals as well. Interestingly enough, though, none of the decks that wanted to come out are pink. That's okay. We do have a green deck, which is also, and then we have a rainbow deck. Lots of blue and orange here and green. So that will just lead us right in that this month our heart will be challenged. That's why I find it amusing, all this pink. Okay, our heart will be challenged. Our crown chakra will be needed the most to support our heart and support us. And we'll be needing to rely on our crown chakra a lot in April. And then our solar plexus is the most supported. And interestingly enough, most of the decks that have come out are orange and green. So green is also a heart color. Orange, yellow, bright yellow is the solar plexus, so I feel like we're like right in that family, right? We also have some yellow crystals out this month. So right away, things to know for April. Our heart chakra will be challenged, which means we will be pushed out of our comfort zone. We will be pushed to live and act and be from our heart space, right? To not let some of those denser energies take a hold or anchor in this month, right? Like anger, sadness, frustration, confusion, outrage. I just heard, must mean there's going to be some outrage in the collective. If you watched the March lunar eclipse reading, we talked about how eclipses come in to bring in all kinds of change and anything can happen, right? And also Pluto's in Aquarius, which is an anything can happen, anything is possible. Surprises, catching people off guard. That's the energy that's been going on with these eclipses, and it's not over because eclipse energy can last up to 6 months for one thing, and we have another one in April, right? We just had a partial lunar eclipse, so then in April 8th we're going to have a solar eclipse. So we've got a lot of eclipse energy going on, and eclipses are about challenging us, forcing us out of our comfort zone, whether we like it or not, having to challenge our beliefs, challenge our patterns, our behaviors, the structures we we believe in and buy into, right? Because none of it is right, none of it is wrong, right? It's all just whatever you pick as an individual that you feel comfortable with living by those, like within that system, right? Because we don't have a choice. We have to live within a system. There are lots of systems that exist in America, right? There's like the working economy system. There's the financial money system. There's the religious indoctrination, spiritual system, and there's lots of things to choose from there, right? All the way to like New Age spirituality, to Christianity, to Buddhism, to Muslim, to Satanism, to all the things that exist, right? And it's all not right or wrong, right? Because Earth is a school, a planet of learning. So whatever you choose, as whatever resonates with you as the individual, whatever way you choose, whatever path you go on, whatever things you experience, those are the things for you. And everybody is different. Everybody picks different paths and different systems, right? And occasionally energy has to come in to shake humans up and be like, rethink this system, evaluate, analyze your own systems you've created, your own routines, patterns, behaviors, right? It's not just collective, it's also within our own lives we create systems, right? I run a business. I have lots of systems that I've created to keep me organized, to make sure that nothing falls off my radar, and I make sure everything gets done, right? I have a system for when I like to set up here to film and do readings and channel and meditate, right? I have a system that works for me, that puts me in the place, in the mind space that I need to be in. So systems aren't good or bad. It's humans that label them. Okay, I didn't plan on talking about any of this. This is a tangent, but all right, this is what they want to come in today, right? I do have a bunch of notes, and it does have a lot to do with this, like changing, shaking yourself out of habit. And, humans, sadly, will not really change or modify systems until they don't work, right? So as long as a system is working, even if it's dysfunctional, even if it's harming the people in the system, as we've seen, right? We saw with the Me Too movement, with civil rights movements, with the women's rights stuff going on right now, right? We see these systems we have put in place harm people. They don't work perfectly or smoothly for everyone. And that is not ideal, right? So, but as long as that system is still going and the lights stay on, humans will not change it. They just won't. Because we're creatures of comfort. We like to be comfortable. We like to think we have it all figured out, right? Nothing's going to catch me off guard. Nothing's going to shake my world. But that's not realistic. I mean, look around. There's constant chaos happening all over the globe all the time. And if you're living and being, you're going to experience some of it. And then you're going to experience some of it in your personal life, right? So, and that's what makes us change, right? When I was going through my divorce many a year ago now, one of the things somebody said to me that really stuck with me, and it's true, was people change when the pain of change becomes less than the pain of staying the same, right? So most of the time humans will stay the same even if they're miserable. And until that gets so painful that you just can't stand it anymore, right? And then the fear of change isn't that scary, because you're like, well, it can't be as bad as what I got going on here, right? And then that's what makes you change and move. Well, humans are, like, as a whole, as a big group, massive collective people, We don't like change. It's also hard to change because you invest in things, right? Like, for example, our medical system, right? That's another system we have. The medical system does a bunch of research, right? They test whatever it is they've come up with to try to do, whether it's surgery, medicine, whatever, medical device. And then they research, they test, they practice, and then they put it into use, into the system. And then it starts being used on masses of humans, right? Well, think about that. All that research, all that practice, all that trying to find things out, trying to learn, testing, that all takes time and money. And then even to develop, like first it's an idea, right? And somebody's like, I have this idea, we can develop this medical device that'll help people with X, Y, and Z, right? And so then it goes through that whole process. And that costs time and money. And then you need the money and the expertise and the people to create the medical device, right? Then you need to test the medical device, and you need doctors and nurses and hospitals and whatever to test the medical device so that you can see if it does what you thought it would do, what the outcomes are, right? Then after years of that, like a decade or more, then it gets put into practical use, right? Which means all doctors, all hospitals start using it and start rolling it out when they see a patient. They're like, oh, there's this new medical device. It might work on this, right? Think about the amount of money that gets invested in that from the idea to the use in a medical setting. Millions and millions of dollars. In some cases, maybe billions of dollars, right? So when you're talking about like military tech and airplanes and things like that, right? Which is another system. Military is a system. The airline industry, it's like I'm getting tongue-tied, another system, right? So what happens is you spend millions and millions, sometimes billions of dollars, and then it's like people are like, well, now we have to get the money out of our investment, right? So even if another new idea comes along that's better, and somebody's like, we could modify this machine to do this, this, and this, and that's better, right? It doesn't matter because one, this new idea now has to go back and start at the beginning of the chain, right? And we know that takes a decade or more. And two, they've already invested millions, maybe billions of dollars in this thing. So they're going to use this thing until they can't use it any longer, right? So that is also why humans and the global community does not change quickly. Change is slow. I read an article once that for things to go from research to practical use, and this is like non-medical things because that stuff takes much longer, right? Also, I would say like creating spacecraft, creating airplanes, those processes are going to take a lot longer than certain things. So let's just use like, you know how when you're in elementary school, you have a science book and there's like science in the book. And they're like, we now know, and whatever it is, we'll just randomly say, we now know the moon is X amount around in diameter, weighs this much, whatever, right? Whatever the facts are. Well, I read that in order for something to make it all the way there to like a school book or a book, like in a bookstore, that takes 12 years. So from the discovery, so let's say whatever astronomers and scientists are sitting around and they're studying the sky and they're measuring planet, whatever, and they discover something different. Oh, wait a minute, we were incorrect. The moon's diameter isn't this XXX, it's XXX. Well, we're teaching children in school that it's the first one. And even though the scientists have figured out, oh, that's not accurate anymore, right? the very next day, it doesn't all of a sudden start. It has to like trickle down through the process, through the cosmos, through the collective consciousness, right? For people to learn about it, know about it, and understand it. And it might show up on the news, and that's how people start to know, like, oh, this is a thing, right? It actually happened when I'm old. I'm not that old, but I'm a Gen Xer. So for Gen X, we were all taught Pluto was a planet, right? When I was in elementary school, we were taught Pluto was a planet. When I was in college, and towards the very end of college, actually, and I might have even maybe already been out, but not very long. But then all of a sudden, they're like, we've now realized Pluto is not a planet, it's a star. Or whatever it is, right? I think that's what they said. It's not a planet, it's a star. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, Pluto's not a planet anymore? But the kids in the elementary school at that time still had school books that said Pluto was a planet. So that's what they were taught, right? So that's the other thing, is that humans take a while to change. Plus, we all have different cultures, right? We all have different beliefs, different patterns, different things we were taught, different things we were programmed in the schools, right? In religion, in our peer groups, in our family structures. So what I'm getting at here is like eclipses, we need eclipses. We have to have them, right? Because they come and they shake everything up and they force us to grow and change and transform. And sometimes crazy things happen that we never thought possible. Like recently, a bridge in Baltimore just fell down. I mean, it was hit by a big cargo ship, but one of the pylars, it's a big giant bridge that weighs tons and tons of steel and concrete. And it should not have just easily fallen like that, right? But all the circumstances were right. And this cargo ship lost power and couldn't steer and got off course and hit that one pylon, just hit it just right, that then the whole bridge came tumbling down. And of course there was loss of life. I mean, not a huge number, but still any life matters, right? So that just happened. So there's like things, and that might just be because like things were getting stagnant. That's a big port. That's an international port for global economy. Maybe things need to change there. But it was like things were never going to change because even though it was functioning, it was dysfunctional, right? And I'm just speculating. I'm using it as an example, right? Okay. So I'm not saying that they were dysfunctional. I'm just saying that big catastrophe happened, caught everyone off guard, was very surprising, and it happened the day of the lunar eclipse, okay? And that had a purpose. The purpose is everyone now is woken up, and everyone now is also asking, how do we know all the other bridges and our ports are in good condition, right? So now that is spurring human action. Humans are gathering, the military's gathering, they're gathering funding, the government's gathering engineers, and they're going to start checking all these bridges. They're going to start figuring out how can we prevent this from happening in the future, right? So something gigantic happened, caught everyone off guard. No one saw it coming. Many people thought it was not even ever a possibility that could happen. And now, because it happened, it's spurring humans to act and shift and make changes, right? So that happens in our own lives as well, right? Sometimes there are catastrophic events in our own lives that we never saw coming or never had, right? I had something happen to me years and years ago during my divorce, which I talk about on this channel a lot, just for the learning. I learned so much. I'm so grateful for that person and that I was married to that person. I wish him the best. I think he's remarried now. I hope he's happy. I wish him the best, right? I wish no ill will. I worked through there, but that didn't happen overnight, right? It's been 12 years now. So that's where I'm at now, right? After it happened, I had a lot of emotions going on. I started therapy, all kinds of stuff. I'm not going to bore you with the whole story, but the point I'm trying to make is there was a catalyst moment in that relationship that something big happened, and I never in a million years would have thought that person would have done something like that, right? So if somebody had told me, like, he's gonna do this to you, I wouldn't have believed it. I would have been like, that's outrageous. That is outrageous. That's never gonna happen. He would never do something like that, right? And then when it happened, it shocked me right out of my skin. Took me completely out of my comfort zone. Because I knew deep in my gut I needed out of that relationship, but I just wasn't doing it, right? Because of that, like, I just thought it'll be easier to just stay in it and try to put my head down and get through it. Now that I realize how ridiculous that is, like, I was in my 30s. I was willing to just be miserable for the rest of my life so that I didn't have to change or disrupt my routine or my life, which is nuts, right? Now, in all this hindsight, and I see how my life is, and I'm so grateful, and I'm grateful for that experience and that person, because I learned so much, right? And anyway, but it happened, and it was something that was unbelievable. Even all my friends were like, what in the, right? Like, and we had a group of like couple friends, and all of the men of the women, you know, which were my girlfriends, they were even like, what is he doing? Like, I never would have thought, right? And so I'm just saying, like, when things like that happen, it's because you're not moving and you need to be, right? You need to be moving, you need to be shifting, you need to be expanding. And that's on a collective and individual level. So the thing is, we, all of us, if you're living on this planet, you've been called here to learn, grow, and expand. That's the point, right? And again, there's no right or wrong answers. And there's no screw ups. Like, you can't screw it up. Trust me, I've done some things in my own life that now, as a rational, almost 50-year-old woman, I'm like, what? And I'm lucky that didn't turn out horribly wrong, right? But it didn't. And I was lucky. and that's partially too because I kept my eye on the prize and I kept focused on the things that I wanted in life, right? So I didn't let some of that craziness take me down. But I do know people who let those distractions in their youth take them down. And now at our age, they're like regretful because they're like, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. I got too wrapped up, you know, it happens. People don't start out partying and having a good time and thinking, well, I can't do this because I might be an addict. No, you don't think that. You're just with your peers having beers or doing whatever. And then later on you see, oh, I have a problem with, you know, that happens. And so, and not just that, people get distracted by other things, relationships, they get stuck in cycles, and then they don't follow their own path because they're stuck repeating, like, you know. Anyway, so my point, we need to be grateful to the eclipses. I know it's difficult in the moment, right? I know, trust me, I know. But we just need to try, okay? And that's why we like to do these videos, because then if you have an idea of the things ahead, it's a little bit easier to navigate. Or if something catastrophic or crazy or chaotic happens in your life, all of a sudden, instead of immediately like panicking and reacting, maybe you'll remember like, oh, eclipses are going to do this, right? So this is traumatic, but I'm not going to be able to stop it. I'm not going to be able to resist it. So I might as well just try to face it and get through it with as much ease as I can. Right? Okay, let me get a drink. All right. So let's talk about, we talked about the chakras, and all of these cards are pink again because our heart's going to be challenged. So we have all kinds of tools here that are going to help our heart. For the month, we have 417 hertz for the sound bath. And you guys, I mean, you cannot make this up. When it came out, I saw facilitates change. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Cannot make this up, right? Then we're going to have for essential oils, pink grapefruit, okay? Jasmine. Also, jasmine came out in the lunar eclipse reading we just came out of a week ago. So jasmine's a big one for these eclipse season. And then the third one, Scots pine. Okay. So you can use all three of them together. You can use just one of them. Somebody in my neighborhood, a couple of my neighbors actually have jasmine planted. I'm going to have to plant some jasmine. And because it smells amazing. And the thing is, when I walk in the mornings, you can just smell it through the neighborhood as you're walking. And it is just so soothing and feels so good. And a girlfriend came over the other day and we walked, and even she noticed, like, she was like, is that? And I was like, it's jasmine, isn't it amazing? And she was like, it is. And I said to her, and jasmine just came out in one of the readings about eclipses. So jasmine, really good during eclipse season. Remember that in the fall as well. You can use a combination of these. You can use just one of these, just two of these, you know. If you're going to take a bath, you can do like the pink grapefruit and jasmine together. I wouldn't add the pine in for a bath because then you might, like, it might just be too strong because pine is a very strong scent. So that's the other thing. When you're figuring out like what works for you, the ratio, you know, I would put a little bit more pink grapefruit than jasmine, and then a little bit more jasmine than pine, right? And not everybody likes pine, so you could leave that all together if you wanted. Okay, the crystals for this month, great cluster agate, which you guys, you can see why, right? Because it's all like little balls, little clusters that kind of look like grapes. If you don't have it, you can substitute amethyst, of course. You can grid your bed this month with either amethyst or great cluster agate, okay? The next crystal, pink, of course, pink tourmaline. I ordered some pink tourmaline, but it's not here yet. I have these pink tourmaline beads. You can kind of see they're like purpley, pinkish, whitish. If you do not have pink tourmaline, you can substitute rose quartz. Always a good one. Both of those, I mean, one or the other of those could also be in your bed grid. And then the last one for the, what did I say? Our solar plexus is being supported, right? Yes, the I am. You're going to use yellow jasper. I don't have any yellow jasper, but I have bumblebee jasper. And the yellow in the bumblebee jasper is yellow jasper. Okay, so you could use bumblebee jasper or yellow jasper, or you could use citrine as a substitute. So you can grid your bed this month, April, no selenite, black tourmaline, I have black tourmaline here. Either the grape agate or the amethyst. Either the pink tourmaline or the rose quartz. And then either the yellow jasper or the citrine. Okay. All right, let's see what else I got in my notes here. All right, we have some feminine energies that are really going to be dominant during this, during these eclipses. And this whole year is going to be bringing in more feminine energy like that, right? And so what I have been getting from the energy and understanding my interpretation, everybody has different interpretations, right? My interpretation is it's the dark mother. We will talk about that another day because that's like a whole video in itself. But in honor of that, the goddess, we did get the goddess cards out for this reading because these eclipses and this whole year are going to be bringing in the next 6 months for sure, going to be bringing in this dark mother energy, okay? We always talk about the feminine and the masculine. Well, the masculine is sun energy, right? Light. Feminine is moon energy. Dark. Okay? That's not bad. Like, the immediate you start saying dark feminine people, that's why women have been vilified for thousands of years, hung, beaten, right? Called witches, because the energy is from the dark, which doesn't mean anything bad. It balances the light, right? So it's just emotions and thinking, being and doing, right? So there's no bad or good. It's the yin, the yang. So the feminine energy just happens to be the dark energy, the dark representation. The masculine, the light, the light interpretation, okay? So together they balance, right? When we talk about the dark mother energy, again, I cannot say this enough. It is not bad. Do not get confused. Do not think that, you know, basically it's that mother. It's that mothering energy that doesn't let you get away with things, right? That's like, I love you but I am going to make you deal with this because it'll help you grow. It will make you a better person, blah, 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 right? It's the sun is the light, the moon is the shadow, okay? So the dark feminine energy in general is that Lilith energy. It's not the distorted energy that has been created by the patriarchy. It is a strong, outspoken, brave, feminine energy who can heal, but can also speak firmly to draw attention, to bring acknowledgement to the shadow elements of ourselves, right? So it's like that mother that's like, I'm not gonna let you get away with this because I love you, because I need you to grow and be strong and be intelligent, right? All the things. And so I will be firm with you and set boundaries with you. And sometimes I will have to discipline you and make you learn a lesson, okay? That's not bad. Again, that is not bad. I cannot say this enough. But we have too many people just in the world in general and on the internet for sure that, you know, immediately think shadow bad, dark bad, we got to eradicate it, we have to either repress it and ignore it or get rid of it, you know, like not, the bottom line is you can't. Your shadow is always with you, right? This is not Peter Pan, where his shadow is locked in a drawer and he's off looking for it, okay? Every time you step outside, you look down when that sun is out, when the light is shining on you, you see your shadow, right? It is this, that is in the physical world. It is the same thing metaphorically, spirit in the spiritual side of things, right? It is imperative that we look at and acknowledge and deal with the shadow at times, all right? And that's what April is bringing, okay? Facilitates change. I highly recommend listening at night to it very quietly. It does not have to even be loud, because it does make things easier. It creates an ease and calm energy that is helpful. Okay, so, but it's not bad. Again, change is coming, upheaval is coming, surprise is coming, but we have to remember that's not always bad. All right? It is going to make us a strong, confident warrior, pretty much. Like, I am not going to falter or fall off of my foundation because of things that are out of my control, or because something is challenging me, right? I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to deal with it, to acknowledge it, to accept that it's a part of me, right? I'm going to journal about it. I'm going to cry it out, which, by the way, I was reading somewhere that they were saying that crying is essential to us in growth, because when you cry, you're like releasing the chemicals that were like basically holding your vibration, your sound waves lower. So I feel like whatever that issue is that you're crying over, right, is like keeping you from fully expanding, because it's like a trauma or a block, right? So they were saying that when you cry, it is like releasing out those things, those molecules that are keeping your sound vibration a little lower. Anyway, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of science still to be figured out on that, I know. But I do know sound is healing. They've proven that a cat's purr, if you live with cats, can lower your blood pressure. They've also now proven that it also helps, their purr frequency helps grow bone density, which is amazing. That's amazing, right? Anyway, okay, so I was just talking about doing these things, using our tools, right? Doing our best, no matter what's happening, to try to stay in a calm energy, because that will make all of this stuff a little easier. Sorry, I'm getting a little chilly. Let's see. This eclipse energy, though, is also, it's super intense. So it's going to make all of us, probably, most of us, it's going to make us feel like doing something, like changing something. Like you're going to start to have all these like wild aha moments in regards to yourself. Like, you know, I don't like this job, or this relationship no longer fulfills me, or this friendship is very negative, or my boss disrespects me, whatever it is. And then you're going to feel like, well, I'm just going to quit this job, or I'm going to go confront this person, or I'm going to end this relationship. Okay, I urge you to don't. All right? Because eclipses bring in a lot of stuff on both the external and the internal. And so this is a time where we need to not act. You need to sit in whatever clarity and aha moments you are getting. You need to sit in, breathe, like I was talking about, breathe through it, journal, ask yourself, like, why might these things be here? Why, could this be happening? Is there a bigger lesson here, right? Instead of getting reactive and resisting and clinging to the old, we're going to want to try to just like let it happen, let it unfold, go with it, try to not be judgmental, try to just process all of the information and the aha moments you are having. Okay, that's what eclipse season is for. Later on, late in the month, that's when action starts happening, and that energy then pushes you more and more to act. But during these eclipse seasons, and until about the 20th of this month, I would say, probably like 18th to the 20th, I would say until then, you just need to observe, maybe even jot down the clarity you're getting, jot down your thoughts and feelings. What are your immediate reactions or impulses? Like, are you having the impulse to, I'm going to quit, I'm going to break up with this person, I'm going to, right? And just try to process it all. And then towards the end of the month, then you can start really, okay, I've been processing, now I'm starting to better understand why this is happening, what the lesson is, how I got here, all of that. And now I'm going to start making decisions and acting, right? I never really recommend making big rash decisions of any kind during eclipses because it's coming into forced change, and you don't want to get caught up in that energy. You want to be able to process it all so that then you can make the decision that's best for you, where your intuition tells you to go, right? Your intuition is still processing when all the aha moments are happening. So you shouldn't really just be acting because you haven't fully allowed yourself, your intuition, to sit with it, to see how it makes you feel, to contemplate what the courses of action could be, right? Okay, don't sit in it. Yes, okay, so it's time for us to try our best to be in the heart energy. I said that earlier. You can see all this pink. We also have green, so there we are. We already talked about the solar eclipse is coming April 8th. There will be a solar eclipse reading. So stay tuned for that. It will be bringing lots of new beginnings, lots of starting new chapters, starting new books, right? For the next 6 months, this energy is going to carry through into the fall when we have eclipses again. So there's going to be a lot of change, a lot of just subtle shifts, changes, new beginnings happening for the next 6 months. All right. Again, we talked about there could be some big aha moments this month. I cannot stress enough. This stuff is coming in to expand emotional growth. Okay, so we just have to try to remember to process it all. Again, that's why like keeping a notebook and making a notes in your phone and just jotting it down as it comes, right? Because we can't always process it in the moment, right? Sometimes we're like at work or with clients or whatever. That's happened to me before. I've got like major downloads. I'm sitting with a client and I'm like, I need to be focused on this right now, right? And so sometimes I'll say, give me just a quick second, and I make a few notes, and then I'm like, okay, continue, thank you. And then later on, I sit with my notes, I read it, and then I start to try to understand and process, right? I understand we can't always just stop and process in the moment. But if it's spinning you out of control, if it's triggering you intensely, then you do need to sit down in the moment and take a few deep breaths, right? Let's see. All right. The cool thing is, we have been talking about this for a while. 2024 is going to be a really good year. There's going to be lots of like changes and things happening in the world with technology, with our medical system, like I was talking about earlier. There's going to be a bunch of new science and stuff coming out. Let's see. Yeah, but some of these new technologies, some of these shifts that are happening in the world, on the external, they're going to force us to kind of like reshape our beliefs, reshape our values, because we need to expand, we need to evolve, we need to grow as a species, right? And so we need to be able to shift and change and adapt. And again, a little bit last month we were talking about like acceptance doesn't mean you agree with something, but if it's outside of your control and it's happening in the world, right, you have to accept that it is part of reality and that it is going to be present moving forward. Like new technologies. Like for me, for example, AI. I'm a graphic designer. All of our software in the last like 3 months the updates have brought all these like AI tools. And so as I'm working, these things will pop up and be like, AI can do this for you. Would you like to try it? You know? And it's a little annoying because like when you're in the middle of a workflow and you are trying to get something done and you have a deadline, you don't have time for that sometimes. But at the same time, it's like I do have to, like the software is changing and evolving. I need to become knowledgeable enough so that I at least can understand it, because moving forward, if I'm going to continue to, do my business, which I love my job, I am going to need to adapt and shift, right? So sometimes that means we have to examine our beliefs, and sometimes we have to ask, like, do I even believe this? Where did this belief come from? Right? Because usually we can pinpoint it. Oh, like I learned that in church. My grandma used to tell me that. I learned that at school. Like, and then we can start to realize, like, oh, okay, that was fed to me, but do I actually believe that? What are my actual values, right? And this energy is coming in to shake all that up, people. Shake it all up. All right. Let's see. All right. Okay. So we already kind of talked about just you're going to want to like anchor our energy as much as we can. Go with the flow. Try to just observe things happening around us. Process, and don't really make any big decisions or take any action until later on in the month, like the last 10 days of the month. Okay, now let's pull some cards. What do we need to know about the April energy? Whoa. Okay. What almost just tried to fly out is rest and reconsider. Let's just see. Okay. Reach out. Yellow. That's solar plexus. Anything else? Whoa. coming together, which is green. Reach out, coming together in April. A 2 and a 3. Well, I mean, you can't really come together if there's not a reach out, right? Let's see, what do we have here from the subtle body energy? Got anything? What's gonna be, whoa. For those watching, what's gonna be happening in the subtle body energy? For those watching. Haha, and that one really wanted to come out. 10th chakra, grounding in nature, right? Which we also said a second ago about anchoring, right? And then the other one, heart meridian. Heart meridian. And we've already been talking about stay in your heart space, right? And it's also yellow. Okay? Pinks, yellows, and greens are the theme here. This is pink. So heart, solar plexus, heart, solar plexus. Excuse me, my nose is running, you guys. Let me just, sorry. All right. All right. We're gonna get a sun oracle and then a moon oracle. So sun energy, masculine energy, right? What's gonna be, what do we need to know for April? Okay, enterprise. Right away I'm hearing there's a lot of work happening in April. It's busy. What's happening on the feminine energy, shadow side of things? What's happening in April? What do we need to know in April? Surrender to the divine. Full moon, which is interesting. We just came out of that full moon lunar eclipse. So, surrender to the divine. So that supports what I was saying earlier about sitting in it. Don't act, okay? We're going to be busy and we're going to have a lot of things going on, and that's okay. But don't act rashly on any of the aha moments happening in April, right? We've already talked about it, but that's what this means. Surrender to the divine. Just let the stuff come in, let the emotions, let the messages, let the aha moments come in. Sit with them. Even if they're uncomfortable, sit with them. What are they here to teach you? What can you learn? And then we act at the end of the month, right? But we're going to be busy. There's going to be a lot going on with stuff we've already had going on, right? So that stuff, you're going to be busy. You're going to have your hands full, and that's good as well, because then you won't really be able to do much acting on the new stuff coming in. So the balance is to stay busy with the commitments you have already made, but don't do extra, right? Don't be extra. Sit and balance that out. Okay, we are gonna pull a couple. Let's see. We got some good tarot here. Let's see. What is the collective? What's coming in for the collective on a larger scale in April? What's coming in for the collective? These are new cards. They're a little stiff. Also, look at the color. Give me a, past, present, future scenario, please. What's happening in the collective for April? Okay. Past, okay. Present. Okay. Future. This is the first time I've used this good karma deck, so it's a little stiff, but so far I feel connected. Okay, future, one card please for April in the collective. There it is. Thank you. All right, we have 9 of Swords reversed, 5 of Wands. Oh, okay. 4 of Swords. Okay, so this is what I'm getting for the collective in April. The collective has been in a very fear, fight, flight, or freeze state, which makes perfect sense, right? Look around. There's multiple wars happening around the globe. A bridge just fell down. There are people getting investigated and arrested for all kinds of things. Princess Catherine came out and has cancer. King Charles has cancer, right? There's just been a lot going on. And I'm sure I'm not even mentioning like 10 things, right? There's like volatility going on in the United States around our elections and the border. There is just stuff happening everywhere. So of course the collective has been in fear, in fight, flight, or freeze mode, right? That's what this 9 of Swords is. But the good news is it's reversed. So that means the collective's coming out of that, right? We're coming out of that, like, shock and battered, raw. And then for the present, we have the 5 of Wands, which is like this, to me, right away when it came out, I heard stalemate, right? I heard the world is at a stalemate, which is true. There are 2 wars in particular going on that are both kind of at a stalemate. Nobody can agree. Neither side's willing to compromise, right? And that's happening in elections all over the world. It's happening, it's happening all over. But the good news is the future card is the 4 of Swords, and she's like so happy and peaceful. So put the swords down. That's what's going to happen in April. The collective is going to start to realize, like, okay, we're not getting anywhere. We moved from sheer traumatic energy to stalemate energy. And it's time for us to move the needle forward. We need to put our swords down. We need to start finding compromises with each other. Right? Sorry. with that, I don't know if you just heard me, but I was like, almost like shaking my head at the collective, but I don't feel like it was me. And then I heard like, get a goddess card. And I got the book out because it's always good. So a goddess wants to speak on April, which makes sense. I'm guessing we're gonna get a strong, powerful shadow mothering goddess here for April. What goddess wants to come out? Hestia. Hestia? Oh, and okay. And this makes sense because it's like they balance each other out, right? What was I talking about earlier about the balancing? We have the two, we have like a busy doing masculine card and then a being surrender feminine card. Well, the two goddesses, I mean, they look so opposite, right? We have Hestia and Morgana. Morgana is death and magic. Hestia is home. And you can see where they're like, we have a of the light and of the shadow here. So we're going to start, oh yes, we're going to start with Morgana. Let me take a quick sip of my drink. Okay. Consider your life a magical gift and your experience of it a beautiful opportunity to leave the world a better place. You give that gift back when death comes and ends your time on this plane. Experiences, relationships, projects, and even long-cherished dreams are all subject to the natural laws of death and the magic of the Celtic goddess Morgana. Now is the time for you to let certain parts of your life die and recognize this process as something to celebrate as well as to mourn. Let go with love and gratitude. Leave your fears behind. For in death, there is a great magic, as nothing can ever be truly destroyed. From the ashes of the old, a new life and new dreams will come to be. Face this time of dying and death with love and courage. Be willing to be empty. Soon the goddess Morgana will fill you up with magic, and a new world will be born for you. This is her gift for you when you surrender your resistance and allow things to be as they are. Goes back to what we were saying about acceptance, right? It says, magic is everywhere and in all aspects of life, including death, dying, decay, and what is dark and hidden deep within our very natures. Yet in our modern culture, we spend so much time in denial, concocting ways to avoid death, refusing to allow nature to be true. We've lost so much wisdom as a result. You're being invited to address the areas in your life that no longer serve and that need to die, without a promise of what it will take its place. Do you need to walk away from someone, a way of behaving or thinking? Like the caterpillar who has no idea how to be a butterfly, you must surrender to the process of metamorphosis. You must make room for the miracle while at the same time not demanding certainty. The magical death goddess Morgana offers you the alignment task of self-inquiry. What ending are you resisting right now? What darkness do you need to bring to awareness? How has fear ruled your choices? Who could you be if you had the courage to look at life on life's terms? Your magic is so much stronger than you think. You can do this. Your dreams depend on it. Morgana is with you every step of the way. And then Hestia. Oops. Okay. Being at home in your own skin is what the Greek goddess of the hearth, Hestia, offers. When you are in alignment with your truest self, it's like everything you do suddenly fits and feels right. Now is the time to also look into your domestic environment, making sure you are surrounded by beautiful things that have a special positive meaning for you. Cleaning, tending house, and taking care of simple things are what is called for now. Chop wood and carry water, as the Zen koan puts it. The answer to the big question comes of their own accord when you're focused on the small tasks. The goddess Hestia reminds you that when you are at home in yourself, you are at home in the world. And then the action is do a thorough house cleaning. Declutter and make space in your environment. Do the same for your mind too. Your mind might be cluttered with old stories that have no value for you now. Walk away from situations you know you don't belong in. When you remove the superfluous distractions, I can't even say it, it's a tongue twister. It's amazing how your intentions come together like magic. Make space for the miracles. It always takes work, but it's worth it. And I'm actually going to stop there because that's what I'm being told. The messages are out. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.